Welcome to the squad, Mortal Kombat 2. I'm your host, Jerome. Today with me, I have Ken as my co-host. I got James appearing as our resident Mortal Kombat expert. We're going to be chatting about the pros and cons of the new movie, standout scene, as well as a score out of 10. And I'd also like to make sure we give a little bit about our backgrounds because I know there's kind of coming from three different backgrounds on the Mortal Kombat series. Ken, if you'd like to go ahead.
Sure. So I am the least educated on Mortal Kombat of the team. So I saw the first movie. I know a little bit about the lore, but definitely not as much as Jerome and James. So,
Mhm.
but overall, there were things I liked, there were things I didn't like. I really enjoyed all the action. I thought the action was like very flashy. I thought the fatalities were really well done and exciting. Getting into some of my pros, um, Liu Kang's fight with Kung Lao
Mhm.
was probably
Yeah.
my favorite. And what I liked about all the fights is it felt like every single fight got more intricate and more flashy at the same time. So that was my favorite. My favorite moment, though, is it because it seemed like because you heard like little snippets of the Mortal Kombat theme here and there,
Mhm.
but, when Johnny Cage puts on, like, the glasses and, like, the real, like, full-on Mortal Kombat theme plays, that was, like, my favorite
Mhm.
moment because,
Yeah.
the other times that you heard it, it felt like they were more trying to, like, make it natural and intertwine it with the scene, but again, like, Johnny Cage, of course, representing, like, the audience and being, like, the actor, so I love that was the opportunity for them just to straight up just play, like, the Mortal Kombat theme. It almost felt like meta in a way, so that was, like, my favorite scene. Getting into some negatives, I think I enjoyed the first one more than most people.
Yeah.
Listening just to the community, seems like the community really liked this one more. I'm actually like in the opposite camp on that one. I really loved how Scorpion and Sub-Zero like played into the plot for the first one. So that was like a
Yeah.
huge standout for me, which of course like you get it here, but it just didn't seem as free flowing with the plot as like it did with the first one.
Yeah.
And actually, to speak on Johnny Cage again, for me, he didn't work as much as he needed to. I feel, and I'm not sure if it was Carl Urban. I don't know if it's the way the writer or if how he was written. It just didn't work for me. I know what they were
Mhm.
trying to do. I know the character that they were trying to get across, even though I don't have like the education on the lore like you guys do. It was just a miss for me. And I thought because he was the main character, and I felt he was the only character that you needed to get right from at least like characterization and acting perspective.
Yeah.
Whereas all the other characters are straight up just like video game characters. They all do cool stuff, but I don't think necessarily any of them required like what Johnny
Yeah.
Cage required. And I just didn't feel like I got all of that from him. Like, because really I left the movie, really would have preferred to follow Liu Kang for most of the movie if I had it my way. So yeah, so I think those are my thoughts. I probably overall give it a 6 out of 10. And it's one other thing I want to say, and it's going to be great to get the viewpoints. Obviously, James is a hardcore diehard.
Mhm.
I think like it can get tricky when you because obviously like you have the community and the community can be very loud. Of course, they were very, very loud about their hatred for Cole Young. And
Yes.
while I think that they still was able to execute like his death and also like really listen to like what the community was saying, like, hey, we don't want this guy. It still
Mhm.
felt odd, to build up like this main character in the first one and then just do away with him in the second. Again, me as a casual, like I know, like James, I know you loved it,
Yes.
but me as a casual,
Yes.
it seemed a bit off. But again, I'm the casual. So yeah, I guess those are all
Yeah.
my thoughts. Josh, did I answer all your questions?
Yeah. No, I think you did a great job. James, going on over to you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I guess I'd say of the group, I'm the resident Mortal Kombat head here. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this movie. It's hard in this day and age to do good video game movies, and we just had Super Mario.
Odyssey.
Yeah, and then we also just had the Silent Hill sequel that came out. So we're
Hmm.
talking about two vastly different ends of the video game movie spectrum within the last
Hmm.
5 years or so. This, for me, I think just hit all the boxes in terms of what I, as a Mortal Kombat fan, want from a Mortal Kombat movie. A lot of the first movie, I think, had a lot of the bricks and the foundation to build upon to the movie that we really wanted, which would have been this one, which I wish this was the first movie. I wish we were following Johnny Cage initially. We did not need the Cole Young character from the first movie to be the audience intro into the world of Mortal Kombat because you have Johnny Cage.
Hmm.
Um, but in terms of favorite scene, it's going to be the Cole Young death scene, and specifically when he gets his body mopped off the bridge by by Shao Kahn's hammer.
Hmm.
The main thing that I love about this movie, not getting into specific scenes because we'll do that later on as we all talk about it, is how this movie captures the feeling of playing the newer Mortal Kombat games and the Injustice Gods Among Us games in terms
Yeah.
of you have characters talking with their very thin plot development, and then it just gets into a fight. And then
Yeah.
as you play the game, okay, the fight transfers right into like another story segment, and then boom, here we into another fight again. And this movie felt just like that, complete with the widescreen going in for the one fight with Baraka and Johnny Cage. I loved it. I wish they used it more, and I wish it actually
Exactly. That's my point. Yeah. I
was
hear you.
cooler. But just the fact that they had that, and a lot of the moves being done in terms of like Jade being glowing in green when she does her kick, all just taken right out of the game. And even if you didn't know the games, you'll be like, this is a really cool. This is a really cool fight scene. Um,
Hmm.
Negatives, they're gonna have. I have a lot of them. Johnny Cage, I agree. I feel was miscast. I get the aging actor viewpoint, but or the vision they were going for with him, but I think he was
Hmm.
just the wrong actor to carry that out. Katana, I think I'd argue is a co-lead of this movie. She had the
Yep.
very standard kind of hero for revenge type of story.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
Kill
it,
my family. Yeah.
but it didn't move the needle for me. To echo Ken's point, and I think probably the entire Mortal Kombat fandom, I'm pretty sure 90% of them are like, why are we not having Liu Kang be our main character for the three movies? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
You have your main character on the sideline for the first movie. He's more in this one, but then they do some trickery with him to like, I don't know, send him off to like a spin-off movie or whatever the heck they're gonna try to do with the whole Kung Lao thing. Scorpion and Noobs are, I'm sorry, he's not, they don't call him Noob in this. Bihan, uh, I think they were just thrown in here to be fan service. You don't need them in here. As cool as it was to see them fight, I think they were done much better in the first movie. And yeah, I think I give this a 9 out of 10.
Awesome. Yeah, so a little bit on my background. So I know a decent amount about Mortal Kombat. I grew up on Tekken with me and my family playing that on PlayStation 1. I was a little kid. Forrest Law was my main character. I know us as a group, we've had some battles inside the jail cell of Ken's room with like 22 different dudes in there trying to play Marvel versus Capcom and stuff like that on the little arcade system. Been amazing times of our lives. No AC, no fan on. Everybody's sweating it out.
In a
We
four by
played
four
at least,
room.
yes, at least a 57 person tournament with best two out of threes and a lot of things going, a lot of matches in a very small room with a lot of former athletes and bigger people in general.
Mm.
in that tiny ass room. But so I know a decent amount. Injustice was like a good story. I know Ken knows a good amount about Injustice as well, in terms of the story and everything, and that kind of echoed as some of the same creators that did a lot of the Mortal Kombat games, if I'm right, James. Um, I think for the movie, so similarly to what Ken's saying, like the fighting and the fatalities and the pacing of that, like James had stated, I think they did a really good job on that. I think they really uh, video game or played to the video game when it came to the fatalities. But then that kind of comes into my cons as well, as the use of the theme and then the stylized intro that they had for Liu Kang versus Baraka, I thought could have been more staples. Like just I think if they just done more of that,
Mhm.
that's not overindulging on that when you're already doing it for like fatalities and stuff, and really give it that video game stylization to capture the fans more in the fights, to just show those little bits of like, okay, like we're back in the game just from a movie perspective. um and then my standout scene was when they get into the palace and Liu Kang is about to um take in our where's he at, our Shao Kahn, right in front of the throne, and he brings up the dragons that wrap around the pillars behind him. I thought was awesome, and the lighting and everything there was really cool. Um, so that was definitely my favorite scene. And but what I really think that they missed upon was like just some of the choices. I think, I don't know, this is just my perspective, but I guess casting like Liu Kang as the main character with his name and stuff may have not gone over well for them and their choices of wanting to reach out like as a movie made in the US. So they give a character with the name Cole Young out there to try and carry that. And it just didn't work out. That's why I feel like a lot of more of the veteran fans appreciated when he died off, because he was such a waste of screen time in the first movie. So to see him get kind of the send off that he did, I felt like that was really good. And I'm not super into Mortal Kombat myself, but yeah, I really feel like they need to like lean into. There's nothing wrong with leaning into the main character of the franchise, even if the name in terms of the movie and from like other perceptions would think that that wouldn't necessarily hit as a main character, which is what I think, just in my understanding of my opinion of their choice behind that. But it was good to see them kind of walk that back, kind of similarly to like Sonic redesigning Sonic himself to look better, and listening to the feedback here in the second movie, you get to see him get killed off, which pleased a lot of those veteran fans. And then also too, another small decision, like to me, Katana, like in my brief understanding, when I saw her kind of become a hero in the beginning, I just felt like she was more of a villain the whole time and part of like the dark side of Mortal Kombat, so to speak. So seeing her play like this hero role and her like I didn't think I that really fit that well. But then yeah, you start going like through the characters in terms of like the amount of screen time that they shared in their interactions and their fights, I think was perfectly balanced. So all that together, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10 overall. As a decent movie, as a six for me. And my question to the team is, what was, and James kind of already answered this, but I want to kind of go into more, is the fatalities. What was everybody's favorite fatality? Um, Mine definitely, like, I think they saved the best one for last. I think Katana's spinning fans was the best, but I know there's been some talk on between
Very accurate.
us in terms of what are some of the other top fatalities.
You know, that's probably my favorite fatality too, because I think with a movie like this, because what it takes inspiration from, for me, if you get the fatality right, I'm
Yeah,
gonna buy into the character. Like besides
yeah,
Johnny Cage, we need more from him. But like, so for me, Katana was like up in the air. But until
yeah,
that fatality at the end, I'm like, okay, like all right, I'm
yeah.
good.
That's
Like
fair.
this
Yeah,
character works for me. So like for, but to add something new to this,
yeah.
again, Johnny Cage is how he defeated like or won his 1v1 earlier in the movie when they played the Mortal Kombat theme with just the
Hmm.
theatrical elements to it
Yeah.
was pretty cool. And like that was pretty cool for the character. Again, like I thought there were some cool things that they tried to do with the character that just didn't work, but I actually like that. And I would put that in my as my second favorite. It's not a fatality, but it's theatrical.
Yeah.
It's just it's not it's yes, it's an act, but it felt like theater, and it just I don't know. It was so distinct from everyone else, which is like all these cool fatalities, whereas he was just again like an actor, and that's the point. So yeah, but that's what it'd be for me.
Yeah, too, Ken, like a little bit on the background too. There's when you're doing like the ending move in Mortal Kombat, there's other things that aren't fatalities, like the joke stuff, like I think it's like babality, where you can like turn
Yep.
the other character into a
Yep.
baby. There's like mercy and other things. So there's other
Friendship.
ways to end it. Yeah, friendship. Friendship is just like perfect, would have been perfect, like as an add-in of the sound effect in the background from somebody or something like that.
Mhm.
James, what
Great
about you?
point.
What other things stand out from the fatalities?
It'll be Liu Kang essentially using Kung Lao's own fatality on him, where with the
Yeah.
spinning hat where it's on the floor, and then
Hmm.
he just pulls. I love that whole fight. I know we're talking about fatalities, but it's in literally a stage taken from the Mortal Kombat game. The cinematography in this movie also incredible. I thought it was very good in the first movie too. This is a director who's it's his first time doing a movie. Well, technically this is
Okay.
his second one time. Really good eye for viewpoints, and then to tie this into the fatalities,
Yeah.
really good eye in terms of showing us like how these fatalities work and not making it seem so cheesy.
Yeah,
Because these
Hmm.
are
I agree.
very cheesy video games and outlandish and out there moves and fights and stuff. So the fact that we can translate it's translated as well as it is onto the screen, yeah, that I'd say
James,
chef's
James,
kiss.
who's your character? Who do you play as in like
Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero and Jade.
Sub-Zero?
So Jade is another one that I felt very I think she was miscast. It could be me though, just being a fan and having my expectations set so high that
Hmm.
like, oh, that's not, the Jade I know, or that's not, in the game. But I have to remember this is a movie, so these are going to be different adaptations of these characters, and it has to translate to a wider audience. Liu Kang was awesome.
Yeah. Ken, I know you're not into Mortal Kombat, but who do you play as in fighting games? Who's your
Well, so
character?
in Mortal Kombat,
Oh, okay.
uh, no, no. Well, when I
A little
watched the
bit.
first one, if I were
Uh-huh.
to ever play
Oh, that's
as
a good
a
question. Yep.
character, it would have been Sub-Zero, no doubt.
Yeah.
Not to steal what James just already said, but yeah, like it's because I mean, for me, as being a casual, which characters inspire me to want to go into that world and get the video game and play as that character? It was Sub-Zero. None of the other characters I cared
Yeah.
about playing as. So
And I think that that's the cool perspective for a little bit of me and a lot of James and a lot of the diehard fans out there. You have a history with that game going into this. So you already have preconceived notions on who you want to star or play out. You know, if you're playing one of the main ones, um, versus you Ken is you're deriving a lot of your connection to the character from the movie that you're watching in front of you because you don't have that hundreds on thousands of hours that we can invest into these games, which is another reason why they could play that theme every second of the movie, and I feel like that would
I
just translate appropriately to the fans. Or
hope they
just have
use the.
Scorpion say "Get over here" 1,000 times, and nobody's gonna be like mad about that because that's exactly what we've been hearing for all these years since the what 80s and 90s when these have been coming out. So on that note, yeah, 90s, yeah. Um, and that note for me is probably it's funny. It's Scorpion. So I just love that tie-in that like Ken's talking about from the first movie. So we have Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and those are our two choices for like the fight scenes, which I felt like they nailed really well in terms of kind of ironing out the storyline to Ken's point. Um, but yeah, besides that, like any of these characters did we feel like weren't used appropriately
Yeah, Shao Kahn
or
we could
like
have
didn't
used
have
more
enough in their
of.
fight scenes, I should say. Go
Uh,
ahead.
thank you, James. Thank
Shao
you,
Kahn
James.
is the emperor of Outworld. He is essentially the Palpatine of this universe. And I
Yeah.
like it. This is a point that I brought up. I like that they use him in the lore of Mortal Kombat. He's the emperor, but he's getting down and dirty in the tournament that is deciding the fate of all the other Outworld and all the other worlds out there.
Yeah.
Uh, and I wish he was very dominant. He was very, they showcased his power. He dispatched a few of our characters here.
I have a quick question, James. James,
Yeah.
really quickly. When he janitor broom mops up Cole's body into the acid, can that count as part of the fatality, or is it just the head smash?
I mean, I'm sure putting that in, if you watch any of these Mortal Kombat fatalities, they get super
Uh-huh.
in depth. So I'd say that counts as part
Okay.
of the fatality because it's
Okay.
overkill and then a little bit of overkill on top of that.
Okay. Yeah. That's my favorite one. Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that, to me, I watched it and I was like, okay, the head smash is the fatality and the extra was like the movie. But if you're saying that's part of the fatality, then I'll
They
take that
always,
one
yeah, they always have
over
like
Katana.
we gotta check out one of these clips of just all the different Mortal Kombat fatalities, especially in this last game that came out.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I said, it's overkill, and then they throw in a little bit more overkill on top of it just
Yeah.
because. Six tours, motherfucker. There's not going to be a seventh, so you know.
Yes, Jackson's
My thing
dead.
with Shao Kahn,
Hmm.
because I know he won his first 1v1 for like that
Yeah.
town and for those people. And then he was really doing well for the entire movie with like that god power. But I mean, he lost his 1v1 without it to his adopted daughter. I just wanted, I
Yeah.
mean, again, you guys know the lore better than me. I was just maybe hoping that we could see him kind of whip some ass
A little,
without
Hmm.
that power. Like whereas like Thanos, like even though like that's how Infinity War opens with him putting it on Hulk, which I guess like this opened with Shao Kahn, like in a really cool 1v1 without the powers. But then in
Yeah.
Avengers Endgame, like you get to see Thanos really like whooping ass the entire movie, like without the powers. But I guess that's two-parter, so it's not really the same. But I would have liked because these other characters seem to do okay against him with like that power up. So I know James leaned over and told me this is like the guy in Mortal Kombat. So to see
yeah,
him lose to his daughter at the end, when he didn't have his
yeah.
power, I was kind of disappointed. But
I
yeah,
feel yeah, it's kind of a little bit. I get it. I get it for the story and the vision. They want to showcase his character journey for Katana, but you killed her sister in the first movie, so you don't get that.
Hmm.
They have to replace her with Jade, I guess, in here to be the friend. Speaking of Shao Kahn, why is Shang Tsung even in this movie? Like, how did he come back to life? How like what are we? But again,
Because he
it's a
wasn't the
video game.
necromancer. Yeah, he wasn't the necromancer, right? It was the other
Oh, Quan
guy.
Chi, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
Quan Chi
You're
was
right.
the necromancer. So he is this. I don't know.
It's
Be
all over the
like it.
place, but that's exactly how
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat is. This isn't going to be Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
and it's not trying to be. Liu Kang, my other like to your the question about the character that was
Fade it
missing.
out.
Yeah, I need more Liu Kang, man. Like I said, he's not even my favorite character in the lore, but like he is like that. Like he's the guy. This
Yeah,
is
the
our main.
dragons are a part of the symbol, the
Yeah,
logo. You know.
he is our main character, and you have to have respect for the strong main character. It just
Yeah.
this movie franchise doesn't seem to be pushing, they're giving us main characters that they're killing in the next movie in 2 minutes into the movie. So,
Yeah.
which I'm okay with for Cole Young, but yeah.
But yeah, with that, I think a good question for our viewers is if you guys would like to put your level of history with Mortal Kombat along with your thoughts on the movie down below. Love to see more perspectives on this. And then two, if you'd like to support, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Catch us in the next one as we'll be going over Punisher One Last Kill. Thank you. Welcome back to the Premier Squad podcast. I am your host, Jerome. Today we got the Punisher, One Last Kill, standalone episode to break down for you. We'll be going over pros and cons, standout scene, as well as the score for this with my co-host, Ken, as well as our guests, James and Dom. Ken, if you'd like to start us off.
sure. So right off the top, really, really like the action, the brutality, Frank's resourcefulness in combat. I mean, those were all huge positives. I think it's important to
Mhm.
remember too, like Matt and Frank fought twice. Well, technically three times, but the third time was more like a scuffle. But they fought twice in season 2 of the Netflix show, and a lot of people feel like Frank 2 0'd him there. So it was just good to see how much of a beast like Frank was. I think they said the tally was 100. He killed 100 people. Favorite scene, so it's a Punisher special. So I have to go with the craziest kill, and it's got to be the pen scene. Um, you know, you You're talking about like a surgeon serial killer type kill there. And I don't think that he's done anything like that, at least on screen. So that's definitely
Mhm.
like the best kill. He had a lot of crazy kills, but that one was, I'd say, the craziest. Getting into a few cons, just comparing this special to the holiday special to Werewolf by Night. I prefer those more. Those just seem like they had more plot and just more there.
Mhm.
And again, I get it. Punisher's all you really need is just him killing people. I get that, but this still seemed like very razor thin. So I'd probably say that was a negative. Obviously, there's the horrible VFX shot that I know that's been all over social media, so I won't hit on that too hard. But I think, like for me, again, someone that watched season one, season two, and Born Again, or forgive me, season one and season two of The Punisher, a lot of this felt like rehashed material. Again, like, and I understand
Yeah.
PTSD is a reoccurring battle, one that can hit you at any moment, and I definitely understand that. But for them to make it essentially all of the show up until the action, again, felt just stale,
Yeah.
like I've been saying. And another minor nitpick with the action, I never felt like Frank was in any danger, and that's okay. I mean, this is the Punisher. Like I said, he too old Matt. But I was hoping more for like a big bad. And I get, I think like the guy that he cut up like a surgeon was like supposed to be like the big bad, like the physically, but I don't
The
know if we could
elites.
have. Yeah, yeah, I don't know if we could have had like that final fight be metahuman, just something to where we could really see Frank take really like take down something as the underdog. Because again, even though he never had a
Give him a
weapon and
seat.
he always took
Yes.
someone else's weapon, he never felt like the
Yeah.
underdog. And I love that for 90% of the action. But again, when you get to the end, you just would hope for him to get challenged a little bit more. But it's
Yeah.
a minor nitpick. Yeah, so I think those are my thoughts. Again, the action was good, very well choreographed, but I still felt like it just, I don't know, it just seemed there wasn't enough. There just wasn't enough, like enough meat on the bones on this one for me. So I would score it
Mhm.
under the Guardians Christmas special and like Werewolf by Night. So I'd probably I'll give it a 6.9 just because the action was, I felt like top notch and it did the Punisher right. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
I appreciate it, Ken. James, on over to you. What are your thoughts on One Last Kill?
I echo a lot of things that Ken had said, so I'll try to bring up a couple different points. A lot of the representation of the Punisher in this really seems like they're treating him like he's just a rabid wild animal. And that's something
Mhm.
for me growing up and reading the Ennis Punisher Max series. The Punisher is he's not punishing out of just rage bait, if that makes sense. He's not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
angry and I'm running into the forest screaming and yelling and freaking, killing everybody I see. But I get the vision that they're going for. So in order to just keep it on the special so that I can talk about the Punisher, what they're going for works within what they built in the Punisher that's on Daredevil and Punisher season one and two, and what they've continued on. This special, what it needed to do was give us an excuse to take that Punisher and have him essentially level up as a character to fit into the world with these other heroes, as we know where he's going to be showing up next in Spider-Man.
Into
So
the
this
MCU.
special
Yeah.
was a really good transition piece. Now, I agree with Ken with a lot of the paper thin plot, a lot of, you're great, but like the action is very solid. I get that. I personally think that the Punisher was probably done the best in the Thomas Jane version or the Ray Stevenson one. Two very different Punishers, but more comic accurate. Because, like I was saying before with my earlier point, the Punisher is
Mhm.
like a calculating guy. He's somebody that sits. Remember he was a Green Beret. He's been in war, and yes, he's traumatized by it, but also he's got the survival instinct. the way that they showcase the survival instinct in these Netflix ones and this Disney iteration is that he's more, like I said before, an animal. He's really treated more like Wolverine than the Punisher in this.
Yeah, I see that.
And for me, I prefer Punisher to be kind of calculating, laying traps, setting, because he's mortal, he's a man. And this is somebody, remember, that has to have that kind of stoic stature that, call me crazy, but it needs to sort of have the essence that Captain America has, but in a kind of sick, twisted, inverted way. Because if you know, in the comics, he will never, it's happened multiple times where whenever he gets into a confrontation with Captain America, he will not fight against, no
I've
matter
talked about
what
it. Yeah.
he's going through, no matter how opposite they are. You know, there's so many panels of the Punisher just saying, you know, like kneeling down, and you have to have like an energy that matches in a way Captain America, in my opinion. That's how I always read the Punisher in that way. I don't feel that kind of stoicness and uh, that twisted heroic nature. That I don't feel that with
Yeah.
this Frank Castle. He really is just it's just not working for
PTSD
me.
and aggression.
Yeah, yeah, which totally it's hitting with the audiences. Everybody loves it, or mostly most people really like it. And for me, taking my personal thoughts out of it, from what I think the Punisher needs to be, this fits in with this Disney
Hmm.
thing that they're going with. Favorite scene? I don't know if I have one. Maybe when he is on the balcony and shotguns the person in the head from above, and then jumps down and lands on their body to kind of break the fall. That was kind of cool. I'd probably go
Hmm.
like a 5 out of 10 for this.
Okay, no problem. Dom, on over to you. How you feeling about this?
Yeah, thank you. Just to kind of, reiterate or address some of the points that, James made. I think the reason, and I kind of agree with him, that I do like to see Frank be more calculated for sure. The reason why I don't think he is in this is because it's clear that he is an extremely just broken man, who is, seeing people and, having people in his head. And so they're really trying to play to that
Hmm.
side of him. There were moments in his Netflix show where he was calculated. And I agree that I like to see that character be more calculated in that way as well. And I think maybe towards the end of this special, he is going to be returning to that. So we shall see.
Yeah.
The John Bernthal's performance, acting wise, was incredible. So really, really shout out to him. He plays just a really good broken man really well, and it comes
Yeah.
off on scene really good. The fight scenes are just god tier brutal for the MCU. Just some of their best work for sure. Some of the Frank kills are absolutely horrific. I love it. I'm here for it. It was awesome. Glad that it got the TV MA. We don't see a lot of MCU projects that get that ranking.
Hmm.
And I just love how long it went on too. The whole, kill scenes from, it was nearly like a 20-minute sequence of events. It was crazy. Just wave after wave of enemies, and Frank just racking up the kills. I really like the realism as well in the fight scenes, the way that Frank blocks and counters attacks, as well as the way he's
Hmm.
handling all the weapons. How he has to make sure he's got enough bullets in there, make sure the safety's not on, recocking them, and how the weapons actually ran out of ammo. It wasn't campy in that way, so that was good. Very, very realistic on the just entirety of the fight scenes. So those are kind of my pros: is the acting and the fighting scenes for sure.
Hmm.
I'm going to get into some of my cons. One of the cons that I have is I'm just not really sure. Kind of how Ken said, it does feel like a rehash. It feels like they've changed the storyline in which his kids are, murdered, or his family is murdered. It seems like they've
Hmm.
changed that several times, and they keep rehashing that several times. And I'm just not
Yeah.
sure how we're supposed to believe how he goes from helping Matt against Fisk, getting locked up, then actively breaking himself out, to just abandoning that cause and going back to that, PTSD moment. There just seems to be a little bit of a disconnect there. So I'm not really sure what the point of the one shot was. I don't think it answered the question as to why he abandoned Matt's cause. He didn't really bring it up. He didn't talk about it. I also didn't
Yeah.
explain why it didn't explain or help set up why he will be in Spider-Man, in my opinion. I would have just liked to seen maybe a post-credit scene or something that is going to connect him a little more to the plot of that movie, why he's in it, all of that
Yeah.
stuff, and speaking of Spider-Man, I just don't know. I get it, budget and all that stuff, and getting him to be in these things is difficult. But I just don't know how much crime all over the city we are supposed to be okay with Spider-Man not showing up and keeping the city in check. This was taking place in Queens. This is Spider-Man's neighborhood, and I just never seen it. Even during the Daredevil, Born Again shows, I never saw it look this bad in the city. It looked like a war zone in the middle of Queens all the time. There are cop cars on fire. There are thugs running around, just robbing and looting and bashing random civilians and throwing dogs into trucks for them to be murdered. I know that there are budget cuts, and I know it's hard to get them in here, but the problem with doing these projects when they're in New York is that it's going to disparage the Spider-Man's name on a more meta level for the entirety of the MCU, for me at least. Some people can come up with headcanon to make it work for them. Oh, he's in another borough. There's so much going on. He's doing something else. It just doesn't really work for me, that type of headcanon. And it's starting to make me feel disappointed in the character, in his non-appearance of all of this stuff going down in his city, and particularly his borough of Queens. So that's just a real negative for me. I just, especially when he's going to be in a movie with Frank, we couldn't have maybe shot this when they shot the movie to get him in here somehow. Just, I don't know. Am I asking too much? Maybe.
Some way to bridge the two.
Yeah.
So many different ways to do that. And none of it was taken into consideration.
Yeah. So I just think that's a little bit of a problem. My favorite scene for me was definitely when Frank saved the family in the deli, which did include Ken's favorite scene for sure at the end there. But just that entire sequence I thought was really good. So I mean, overall, it was fine. The fighting scenes and the acting really bring this score up, because it could have been the lowest project if it was missing those types of elements. I'm just going to give it a 7. It's an average. It's a C, perfect 70, and we'll just move on.
Yeah.
Dom, can I ask a question? Because I'm with you too. I mean, that was like lawlessness.
Yeah, completeness.
Lawlessness. And again, this show does not do a good job with any type of plot. Are we led to believe that some of this is over exaggerated and heightened because it's Frank's interpretation? For it to be that crazy seemed a bit unrealistic. And Frank is a crazy dude.
Yeah.
Like, does that help at all? Like with it just seemed to me, it seemed a bit like
but they have to show us, just like when a character.
Huh?
Yeah, no, but anytime they showed something like that, the character would disappear, so the audience knows it's his world. So to do all of that section and not give us some, like, okay, this is all in his mind, would have been better. Like, he only killed 10 people instead of 100.
I just don't know if some parts of it
can be good.
Just in his head, like he's only visualizing the city in that way because his head is a war zone. I don't know if it works that way unless it all is in his head, because he goes on this violent killing spree, which kind of seems to match what's going on in the city. So unless it's all in his head, I just don't think that works for me.
That's fair. Yeah, because, and again, like razor thin plot, so we're not getting anything out of this. But I think it can be implied that that family that he killed had very little to do with like the killing of his family. Because in season 1, episode 1, Frank kills everyone that had to do with this, with the killing of his family. So it seemed in this that while, there was chaos and there were minor reasons to be the Punisher and punish people, it seemed like he really was looking for, again, small things to justify it, whereas like maybe things weren't as extreme. Because I think you could even make the argument because he killed that family that also played a part in the town or the borough being
Yeah.
that specific space being on fire because it was a
It
power
was
vacuum.
100% because of that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I don't want to really defend the plot. So, Jerome, I'll let you go now.
Appreciate it. Over to me. I think just one thing I want to touch upon that you guys are talking about too, the Gucci gang, the Nucci gang, is a core part of his storyline from like the comics and everything like that. And we know that's the Punisher for Netflix. They decided to change that backstory, so I guess that's just them incorporating in. Because I just have a question written down for us to ponder on while I'm going over my side of it. But is this just here for like non-Punisher viewers from the Netflix show to kind of give us something of him as he goes into Spider-Man? And is that what the intended purpose of it was? But we can kind of ponder on that. One thing, I don't know, this isn't a pro or con or anything, but just the first thing that stuck out is when he first starts going after everybody, he takes a baseball bat in the room across from his, and he throws it and it misses. And I was just like, after everything I've seen in Daredevil Born Again season 2, I have not seen any sort of weapon or a projectile or anything miss. And I was just like, whoa, what happened? It's so funny that I'm so connected to with every single surface that Bullseye and Daredevil bounced something off of, that it just stuck out like a sore thumb when he just missed the baseball bat and he like went over the guy's head. So I thought that was just hilarious. Um, One of the small things that I give to this is every time transitioning from like kill to kill, I felt like he did an amazing job moving with a gun that felt very like militaristic, like his training had kicked in. So it's a small thing for me, but I really appreciated that. Um, One of the negatives for sure is like the rehashing of the PTSD, even though his acting was really good, because it's something that we're like, okay, I know this about him already. So that kind of pulls you out of it, even as good as Bernthal's acting was, in my opinion. But I also do feel like when they played certain effects and the music in those scenes were really good, that helped amplify it better outside of the content of those scenes at the grave and inside his room with his former colleagues from the military. Um, but then for me, like a lot of cons came in. The biggest one to me was like the little girl after experiencing the most like traumatic thing in her life, just kind of like smiles and gives him like the rose, like no tears on her face or anything like that. Like this is a child that just had her dad's getting beaten down. She's cowering in a corner. She just watched one dude take a pen that she's probably used to write cursive that day for her class and just stabbed another dude 22 times with it and watched him die. And she's just like, okay, I'm just going to move on with my day. And let me just, organize my thoughts to be able to hand you an award, sir. Like, I appreciate you. Just a big smile on her face. So that was a little off putting to me. Um, and then like the whole dramatic but not logical kills, I feel like there was a good amount of gunplay in the proper use of ammo for a lot of it, like Dom had spoken of. There was one, I think the first time he had the AK-47, not the submachine gun, the one after that. I felt like those rounds kind of went on for a while. That clip went on for a while. And then like, I don't know, certain thugs like I feel like are mindlessly like charging him down a long hallway when all they have is like a knife, and they're just charging down like 57 feet to try and get like in range to kill somebody that has a gun. So like one of the things that kind of like Ken had touched upon in terms of what they do with the last villain, um, the last adversary, making him a challenge for Punisher, I felt like could have been echoed throughout in the creativity of the kills that he has really amplifies his character and his feats for us. So as an overall thing, to see him overcome, see him hit some super critical shots and stuff like that, where they key in on uh, a very small like window or something like that. I know there's a couple times where he shot somebody, I think that was holding somebody else hostage, but really keying in to slow down those moments to give us impact adds to who he's going to be and his level of um, skill with weapons going into Spider-Man. So I felt like they just kind of just gave him a bunch of kills, but more it was I wanted to see more from those, more impact moments than just a bunch of dead bodies lying around. The standout scene for me, because I don't really enjoy this special too much, was when he was first before he fights the last buff tatted dude. He's taking out a couple of them, and then he pushes like a bread cart into a dude, and the dude stabs himself in the chest. Like I don't know, that's like as bad as a death as you could possibly have. You don't even get to fight the guy; you stab yourself with your own knife. So for whatever reason, that was my standout scene for that as like a like that's rough for him. Score, it's funny, echo on Ken's score of a 6.9. I felt like it was decent and the action was good, but it because we're rehashing and there's nothing new there, like it can't be good for me, which is what a seven is in my terms. um but yeah, with that, how do we feel about, like, we talked about the transition, but is this supposed to be, is this place just as to introduce non-Punisher fans or people who didn't watch the Netflix show to him before he goes into Spider-Man?
I think it's possible. I think what they could be setting up is that he reacts well to children in need. Perhaps there is a setup there with him protecting Jean Grey, as some of the rumors like to go. I don't know what Sadie Sink is playing, but perhaps there is
Hmm.
some kind of setup there. But I don't know. It's
Yeah, that's right.
possible.
Yeah, I think it might be like a business move in terms of having this on Disney Plus for people to get them acclimated with the character. And then once that new
Hmm.
movie comes out, you don't have two seasons to catch up on. Now you have this one and done, you hit that up, and then boom, you're into it. But I was gonna ask you guys, what do you think? What's your favorite Punisher iteration? Because I don't know if you guys have seen, like, we have Dolph Lundgren in the 80s, we had Thomas Jane in 2004, Ray Stevenson from the 2007 one, and then now there's
Hmm.
this one. So we have a good amount of Punisher uh, interpretations, we can say. So I was just curious to
Yeah.
see if you guys have any favorites for them, because very vastly different types of Punisher, like the actors playing him. So it'd be cool to see, like, what you guys think your iteration of the Punisher is, or most fits with which actor.
I think Bernthal's would
I'm
be
not
great.
I'm not super
I
familiar
love
with the other
Bernthal.
ones. I think Bernthal's done a good uh implementation of this version of Punisher, but I do agree that what you're talking about, James, when it comes to the side that every time you're like, if you're describing, if you remove the name, I'm constantly thinking about when Wolverine broke out of the testing facility and he's just running rampage in like the snow in the woods or whatever, and
Yeah.
how that's eerily similar when you're bringing that up. So I do like that you're distinguishing the difference, and that there should be a difference in not just straight PTSD and aggression versus a more calculated person that has the military background to really like be more methodical and more um, well planned with his kills.
I really liked Ray Steve. Well, I probably would say I'd like Ray Stevenson's iteration the most of the live action portrayals. Um, but it was very much the duty of Punisher, just for like the 2 hours, whereas Bernthal's is 2 seasons plus multiple episodes. I also really liked
Mhm.
how he was portrayed in the animated series.
Uh, the movie.
Very much like, because uh, not Logan-esque, but closer to Butcher. And I liked that for him
Mm.
more than some of this now. But in that same breath, I mean, like John Berthal is like a movie star. He's going to be in the Odyssey, like a Christopher Nolan film. He's literally going to be standing next to the mascot for superheroes. So like he's of course like a big deal too. So I'm excited to see him get to portray that, like some of those attributes I think that we're talking about more in the Spider-Man show, when that's all he's going to have to do instead of like carrying that. Because Jerron, to answer like your earlier question, I think they just
Mhm.
gave Bernthal this because so he could be
Yeah.
in the Spider-Man and so he could like appear in some of these other projects. that probably was a part of
Yeah.
Bernthal's ask. Hey, like, can I get a special to just do what I do best? Because in the special, like we're saying, it really plays to what Bernthal does, not necessarily like what Punisher does, to James's point, but what Bernthal does. So I'm excited to see again. Hopefully, like, Bernthal get to do some more of
Yeah.
like actual, some of the other important Punisher characteristics. But James, to answer your question, I really liked Ray Stevenson, but I would for live action, but I would still go with the animated interpretation
Is that
because
the Punisher and Black Widow movie? We're talking
yeah,
about that one? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm not a hardcore Punisher fan like you, but I think they got a lot of like,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Yep.
Like, I guess question for the team. Definitely like some gruesome brutality at its finest. Do we consider the pen kill the most brutal kill we've seen in the MCU? Again, Fist crushed someone's skull last year. That was pretty crazy. Wade's done some crazy kills to like those TVA agents, but what's everyone's, most I don't want to say gruesome, but just brutality at its finest kill.
Didn't Fisk in
I think
season one of Daredevil like smash somebody's head with the car door? I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just felt more real and grounded because we had never seen brutality like that in the MCU. And I'm including
Mhm.
the Netflix shows in that. But anyway, that's my answer out there.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
the fist
go
kills
ahead.
are definitely a little bit more brutal, just because he's not using any weapons at all. He's not even using a pen. He's just
Yep.
like squishing a guy's heads like a zit, or like how James said with the car door. I think those are going to be slightly more brutal than the pen kill. The pen kill's up there though. I think outside some of the Fisk moments, I think it's up there with some of the brutality and like that you see from Deadpool for sure. I don't know
Yeah.
if we've
I
ever
mean,
seen
Deadpool
in
used a
MCU
refrigerator door, I
someone
think.
just stab someone like, what was that, maybe 10 times. I don't know if we've ever seen that in the MCU. That is pretty gnarly for sure.
Yeah. Wait, so hold on, Dom. You're going with that kill over Kingpin's head crushing kill.
No. I would take Kingpin's kills over.
Thanks, Dom.
I'll put him over Deadpool kills though.
Yeah, so
I'll put him out. I'll put him top five. Top three.
I mean, you bring in the police commissioner, they're underground in front of literally the entire police force, and you crush his head. Because it's not often where I feel bad for someone and how they're going out. Because again, like a lot of the times, these characters are just mulling through like brainless zombie-like characters. That's what it feels like. I felt bad for the dude that Frank cut up. I was sick to my stomach for the police commissioner to go out that way. Like, you Fisk
Yeah.
is it's not like he has weapons. It's not like they're getting ready to, just like blow your brains out. Fisk like literally just starts like crushing your head. Like you
Flying
feel his
pressure. Yeah.
hands on the side of your head. And then, well, yeah, I didn't have to experience it. So
You didn't feel bad for
And
the
then pop.
doctor?
I think getting your skull crushed.
I think you deserve that,
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah.
doctor.
Probably quicker than the doctor though. Doctor. Oh man.
True.
Yeah. I think for me, so I'm not sure. I would have to go back and look at like the Deadpool ones to give an accurate comparison. I just feel like when I watched him take the pen, when I watched Punisher take the pen and start stabbing him, I thought it was cool, but I didn't have the inkling like, oh, this is the craziest thing I've seen in the MC. Yeah, I mean it's up there. I mean, you're talking about obviously averages, because it's a mature rated instead of PG-13 like all the movies are, outside of
So many of
the
those
stand the
projects.
R-rated ones. So I just didn't have that feeling that I thought it was as gruesome as you guys are talking about. So that's kind of why what sits in my head is it probably isn't for me, but I have to go back and look.
You got to check your turn away meter. How
Um,
far did you turn away when Fist smashed the head versus how far did you turn away when he was stabbing it with the pen?
It's like interesting too, because I don't know. it's not a kill, when you're talking about, because I think about like Wolverine versus Wade inside the van, and that's not a kill, but that starts to get on the level of like gruesome. But he gets to regenerate and stuff, so it's there's a
It's
lot of
different.
factors in there that
Yeah.
could like maybe not be a part of the same conversation. But yeah, I think that's
Because
the really good question. Go ahead.
I really agree with Dom's point because Wade and Logan are killing, but they're essentially immortal. And so they can kill much cleaner
Yeah.
and they can just straight run through everyone. Like Frank actually has to really like get his hands dirty. But Fist really got his hands dirty. Like, Frank
Hmm.
still used the pen, like Fist literally with his bare. Again, Fist was just an animal. He was out of control in that show. So yeah, I got him for sure. And at the end of the day, Wade's like killing people, but it's like a joke. Him and Logan killed 50 Deadpools with Madonna playing. It's just not. It's just a different feeling. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a comedy side to it. But I feel like that is definitely a good question for our viewers in terms of where does Punisher's kill with the ballpoint pen from probably not Inkjoy, but another brand. Where does it rank in terms of how visceral you guys have seen kills from the MCU within the whole movie universe? And besides that, if you'd like to continue supporting us, please consider liking the video and subscribing and catch us in the next one as we will be going over the penultimate episode of The Boys. Appreciate you. Welcome back to the Premier Squad podcast. I am your host, Jerome. We will be going over The Boys today. I have my co-host, Ken, as well as James with us here to go over the penultimate episode, episode 7. One episode left. We'll be giving our pros and cons, our standout scene, as well as if this episode has moved the needle to better the season for us, make it worse, or remain the same. Ken, if you'd like to give us your thoughts.
Yeah. So as always, I think what the boys does very well is consistency. The performances are great. The writing's great. I mean, Homelander has been incredible in every second of this entire show. Oh, Father continues to be another standout favorite
Yeah.
scene. Actually, I'm gonna go with a favorite moment, and it's
Hmm.
subtle. So like Homelander comes, like comes down or comes to like their base or whatever, and Frenchie taps and like it's not even immediately, it's not even instantly. It's before your brain can
Yeah.
even process it, he's there. And I just love those little ways that they display how powerful Homelander is cuz I don't know if they've even done that in like the last 3 seasons. So that was like really cool. Obviously, of course, it's the final season, you're expecting uh very well done, epic deaths. And I thought, the execution for Frenchie's death was well done. I mean, that and A Train's death or kills are my favorite. I thought, the actor for Frenchie did a very good job. Kimiko's actor did a really good job. It hit me in the feels. So I thought that was well done. Another minor thing, and this ties into conversations we've had as a team, is just how scary telepaths can be. Like Homelander himself is scary, but again, like he's when he's going to kill someone, when he's going to kill someone. And when he's not going to kill someone, he's not going to kill someone. Like with Frenchie, like we know you are not going to kill. If it's a main character, if it's someone important, he's not going to do it. But the way that they've used the soups with telepathy has been like really fun to see and terrifying. Like, there's just
Hmm.
nothing you can do. Like there is nothing you can do. You have all these intricate plans. The second you are in their presence, and Homelander has like an entire empire of them. So like the second you're in one of their presence, like you're in their presence, every single thing that is now open public information. And I don't know if this is like consistent across all of them, but like to have Jean Grey's power and Mystique's power is pretty terrifying. So again, like I said, the boys does things very, what they do well, they do very well, and they do it every episode. Getting into some of the cons now. I really hope they're saving all that budget for the finale because,
And so you say the writing's good, but
well, the
what about
budget,
this?
but that's, well, the budget. I hope that they're
Okay.
saving the budget for, yeah, the budget. So
Okay.
I thought the show in a way disrupted its momentum from the end of last episode to this episode. Now, where they picked up, like again, the writing's really good, the continuity was great. The episode is still strong, but man, like where we left off last episode and where we started this episode seems like we skipped all the stuff that we really wanted to see. So
Mm.
that's not even just a negative. That's like, yeah, I mean, another negative. Some of these final confrontations seem to again be like pretty lackluster. Like Homelander and Soldier Boy, they fought in season 3 with Butcher, and then Huey was involved. I thought that was grand in scale and epic enough to still uh respect those characters with that, with that type of power. Like here,
Mhm.
the way that Homelander took out Soldier Boy was a bit, not a bit, anticlimactic. So that's another con. And James said this really well last week, and I got to really like look for it this week. Gen V and like its characters and like its set pieces, it does feel much, much, much bigger. Like, because now that I'm thinking about it, like Marie, and they did nothing with these characters. Like
Mhm.
Marie, like forgive me,
What's that power?
the other character, I'm blanking out on her name, but it's Marie, and then the other character from Gen V. I mean, those are two
Mhm.
powerful characters with dynamic skill sets, like or as far as like specifically their powers. So I'm just really missing the epicness to this conclusion. Again, the writing's great, the writing's always great, but at some point, again, like when my favorite powerful scene is Homelander is a jump scare from Homelander. I don't think, like we're really doing these powers. And even Butcher, like you rarely see him actually like let loose either. So I really hope that, they really have saved all that budget for this finale. We'll be
Talking about
watching it
Jordan, yeah,
again.
Jordan.
Jordan. Thank you, Jerome. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I,
those
I
are my
just
thoughts.
every time I
Strong
see her, I think about replicate. Anyways,
replicate from Invincible. Yeah. But no, that's it for me.
um,
Strong episode. 8, just because again, like the writing and acting is always so good, but it seems like we're
so
just hovering there.
has it? Yeah. So has it, the season remained consistent for you? Has it gotten better with that episode?
Yeah, I think like how I opened this
It's
up, like consistency,
okay.
like they're not, it's not
Okay.
dipping, it's not climbing to new heights, just consistent.
Okay. Appreciate it, James. Thoughts on over to you for the boys.
The boys. I'm racking my brain trying to play devil's advocate on this, but I can't seem to do it.
Yeah.
Not to sound like I'm just echoing sentiments from Ken, but this episode, it didn't move the needle for me at all. It absolutely just stayed within like the level of what this season is doing. The biggest problem I have, and not to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, is that there's no finality or scale to this being like if this was just another season of The Boys, okay, I get it. This is the second to the last episode for the season finale, and then we'll get on to nothing about this feels conclusive. Nothing about this feels like we are getting to the end of the journey. We're getting to the season finale to get us through the next storyline that's going to be coming up soon. That's what it feels like. And to bring in like seeing the Gen V characters, I just was reminded and how they were wasted in this episode. But I was just reminded with how well done that show did those characters and specifically the action scenes. And then you have this action scene in the movie theater segment, which was fine, but that's something
Yeah.
that was like from season 1 of Gen V, if that makes sense. This should be like
Yeah.
a big, like holy crap, we're getting to where this is one of the final action scenes. This needs to hit. We don't need
Yeah.
explosions going off anywhere, but yeah, something
So we
needs
had
to.
a couple of butt sniffers just fighting each other.
Yeah, yeah, and my favorite scene would probably be the Homelander and Soldier Boy interaction. While I agree with you, Ken, that the way Soldier Boy went out was pretty lame. I do love how Homelander, as powerful as he is still just looked at like he looks at the way Soldier Boy looks at Homelander, he looks at him like he's an ant on the floor. And then Homelander can see that. We can see that, and there's nothing he can do about it with all that power and that he's got, even with the original or the V1 in his veins. Soldier Boy's just like, I gotta get away from you, man. I just really am not about this life. And there's nothing Homelander can do about it, as powerful and as capable as he is. I love that. And I think that brought a good conclusion. I'm assuming this is the conclusion to their story arc in terms of it not being a fight scene, because Ken brought it up that they already fought in season 3. So we don't need to see like an action fight from them. We just need this kind of finality for that. And I really like that. The Frenchie death, I feel, was a little too little too late for me. But it was done really well. The actors were great. The right, it's not like it was like bad. It didn't hit me because I'm like, well, this is a character from a team that I'm supposed to love. That this is the one that I like the least. And I'm like, okay, like this, I feel would have hit if it was a little earlier in the season. But again, you need him to be that catalyst to kind of like get our boys, the boys,
Hmm.
into we got to rally for our friend, but like, oh, we're already at the last episode. So my closing thoughts are going to be this finale needs to do something. I don't know what. I'm not the writer, but there's a problem if I'm watching Euphoria and it continues to be more epic with a strip club robbery or a wedding robbery that feels more epic in scope and scale and grand than the finale of The Boys, which has to do with freaking all-powerful superheroes that can literally move mountains and stuff. It's
Okay, okay. James. Anything else?
no, that's it.
Okay. But so for me there's only a couple of pros. I think that when Sister Sage talked about love is a logic error and how it kind of factored everything and owning what had happened last episode, I kind of appreciated that side of her and kind of regressing back into just wanting to be her stupid self and holding it heavy on her, that is like this the stress that she felt from that moment. And then really like I thought it was just funny too. The little ant that came through, I was just wondering if that was the same ant from Ant-Man. I thought it was going to do something. When it popped into the vents uh, with Mother's Milk and Starlight. But to me, this is a very con heavy episode. I kind of echo what James is saying in a different way. I felt like this was an episode out of like the middle of season 2. I think the way that they handled, like after what Soldier Boy had done for Homelander in the previous episode, to kind of like leave him by himself and like get away from that, I just felt like didn't fit together with the way that he proclaimed like their relationship was and what Claire meant to them, and Stormfront and all of that didn't really like transition well into this episode. And I felt they just wanted to get him out of there, but it wasn't written appropriately for me. And then just the constant references again to like Billy Joel was brought up like 3 different times by Huey this episode. We got the Spice Girls references and stuff like that. And I'm just wondering, as the penultimate episode, like, why are we focusing our time here on this? I really felt like we, as the audience, were Butcher and Huey trapped in our chairs, just having to kind of witness this, and with nothing happening, we're just sitting in a room and nothing's really occurring. Um, Although I do feel like when you get into, like Ken had talked about, when you get into the psych stuff, it is pretty interesting that they went like breaking down kind of Butcher's path and putting that out to Huey. I thought it was a pretty good performance, but we're doing all this and it's I just feel like, yeah, we're nowhere near the end. And I don't feel like we talk about there needing to be something appropriate for the finale. I don't think there can be enough done in the finale with what has kind of led up to that point. Like to me, it's an impossible task, but we'll see if my Sister Sage prediction is correct or not. Um, I also feel like when it comes to the like Frenchie and Kimiko relationship, like them talking about their future together, I think is like the fifth time I've heard that this season. And like they've had like three different paths that they've talked about like with their future. And I was like tired of it because I felt like he's kind of agreed that she wanted to kill herself. And now we're talking about like a dog and adoption. And I just don't know like why we're focusing in on this. And then as crazy as Homelander is, and like as cool as it was to see him kind of flash off the tap of a pillar, I don't know why he can just leave and they come out and why doesn't he just come back? Like why doesn't he have like the forethought to set up something like that to just leave or hear them or hear Kimiko screams or whatever it is, but for him to just leave and then them come out right after he leaves to like a dying Frenchie, I thought was just I couldn't suspend my disbelief enough. And I felt like his ending scene and her crying like to me just wasn't no, I don't know if it's grand enough. It just didn't feel like it fit appropriately for his death. I feel like there's a lot more that could have been done in these episodes to give us those final moments of these characters. And this is like one of the first character from the boys proper that we're losing. It didn't work for me. And then Butcher and Huey kind of show up right afterwards, and it just all felt like very shoddily put together. My standout scene in like the worst way was actually, and this is kind of a pro I should really talk about, but then it leads to a bigger negative, is when Marvin talks about the origin of his name, of Mother's Milk. I felt like was very touching. And then when he talks about what is like a defining character trait for himself, it reminded me of who he was in the beginning when Butcher would like sick him on Huey and the other characters to get them to buy in. And I feel like we've completely lost that. Like it was a reminder to me of who he used to be and how I haven't seen him in feels like this entire season. So while that scene was good in terms of him talking about that, it led to me the bigger negative of kind of what we lost with his character in this season is he's become uh, not the same person as he used to be. For me, this made this episode move the needle down. It got worse for me, and I just once again don't feel like they can do enough in the finale to bring it back from where it was. Nor do I trust the fall that I feel like this season has taken to then set up confidence in the finale, recuperating and then moving past all that for what I feel like is deserving of these characters.
Great breakdown. I actually am
Well
feeling
done,
a lot
James.
the way that you're feeling. I was gonna say my other favorite scene was the cameo by Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, the hammerhead shark,
Yeah,
and then the
come on in the water.
I know we talked previously about what and how Homelander could die and who would be the one responsible. What are some of the other character deaths? What is the next character death we're excited to see after that? After Homelander?
After Homelander, probably anybody from the boys, Huey, Kimiko.
I wonder if he dies.
Just,
Do you feel like Kimiko's gonna get the home the excuse me the Soldier Boy power up?
yeah, she got it in her blood now. So all those experiments
Yeah.
they were running with. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a team effort of some sort with them, defeating Homelander, as sickening as it is to
Hmm.
think about. With these characters, I just don't care too much about.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
and then
think Butcher's death, not that it'd be the most satisfying, but I am very interested in how he dies. I do think they've done a very good job with that character, so I'm just excited. Yeah, obviously you're excited for Homelander
Yeah.
to die, but how does Butcher die in the process? James said something that I actually agree with. Because I'm thinking, wow, if Huey dies, that would hurt. Huey's supposed to be represent like the purest of them all, but I don't think it would hit me that hard just because it's the finale. Like it's over. Like it's a little too
Mhm.
late. Like how James said. So Yeah, honestly, it just how they kill Homelander is probably the most compelling thing right now. But to answer your question, Butcher.
Yeah. I feel like what this season kind of has done to my expectations is like when you see an athlete rise to the top in their unconventional way, and then they kind of as they get worse and worse, they don't decide to cut it off as it's good, and they just keep playing, and we're just seeing like a shell of themselves out there. And at this point, we're kind of waiting. We want it to just end, and we're not looking forward to their last game. We're not looking forward to like it's not gonna be who they were beforehand, and like things should have led to a more fitting end earlier because we
That's
just carried on. Go ahead.
that's a fantastic point. I'm just saying to mirror your comparison that it's like what happened with the Undertaker in the WWE. The
Mm,
same thing. It's everything you're talking about with the sports athlete and whatnot. Yeah, that was the Undertaker. It's like, bro, you hang it up. You cannot like you're walking over here, your knees are shaking, you can't, like this just, you getting concussed in the first 30 seconds, you don't know where you're at. And a lot of the boys feels like, and I think we all three of us have nailed this talking about this entire season, is that the writing is well enough, but the direction I feel that they're going in, it just feels like they're not that they're aimless, but like this was a really hastily put together outline for a season that they
yeah,
did, and then they just filled in the blanks here and there without really, thinking too. I don't think a lot of thought was put into this season, is what I'm getting at.
yeah.
But I really hope the ending lands. I'm with you, Josh. I don't think unless it's like a 2.5 hour movie or something, which it's not going to be. There's too many things that I don't know. And now I'm curious, and I probably wants to see how they try to end it and see what the backlash is going to be.
Absolutely, because and that's what I like being on that kind of sticking out that branch of like this is what my thoughts are going to be on the episode because I love when I'm wrong, and if they could do that, that's historic. That's a historic comeback. That's like being down two players and you can still, being down your best player and you still beat the Rockets in the first round. So there's always a way, but the confidence is in the gutter for them being able to bring that about to us as the audience and have it come across appropriately. There's so much that needs to happen in this last episode that they could have sprinkled throughout the season.
Has there been any season of like a show, or I guess I should say a finale, that has been, and it doesn't have to be a show you particularly like, but what I'm getting at is like you watch a season of a show or a finale or up to a finale of a show that it's like, I don't know how they're going to end it. And then it actually ends well when when your confidence is in the gutter. Like I'm trying to
That's a
think of
great
like,
question.
and it's
That's
got
a
to be with
great
shows that I'm
question.
like not really into, like I'm thinking like Alien Earth. I was wondering like, there's no way. Like, how are we going to wrap all this up? And then it's like, oh, that's how we did it. Okay. Um, what's another show? I'm
Yeah, I'm
just,
not I'm not thinking one because I feel like it's just the telling signs already there.
especially for
Like
a show
unless it's
like
a
this.
unless it's a twist or something that comes at
Mhm.
the end, it's just anything can. Does anything answer that question? It's tough because
Nothing
like
off the top of my head. I
yeah,
think Born Again had a pretty strong ending though, that I think like has me looking on that season differently. But to answer your question, as far as
that
like a
restructure. Yeah,
season finale,
Or
whew,
series finale,
or forgive me, series finale. Thank you.
where your expectations were with the second to the penultimate episode has just been like, there's no way they're gonna shoot that 3-pointer, and win
no,
game six.
Stranger Things crapped out at the end for me. So
Or a finale saves the show. Yeah, like I think no one episode can really like carry that burden, at least of any of the shows that I have watched. Well, any of all the countless shows that I've watched. So to answer your question, no. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's this. Yeah, the point I'm trying to make too. I'm like, I fucking don't know.
at some point there's too many red flags where you can't have a big enough green flag to just redeem all that.
Hmm.
You
yeah,
just send
I
too
think
much
if
because it
they
all just
got,
feeds into itself, in my opinion.
I think if they really hit this episode, I think if you hit the episode before the finale and the finale, then
Yep, yep.
that's enough to really get everything back on track. But just one episode, like there's
Do we have a runtime for it? You
A
guys
little
had
over an
signed
hour.
for
That's
the.
yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. He said it's a little over an
Yeah.
hour. He said if it
Yeah,
was
he said it wasn't going to be like that crazy 90-minute long, 2 hour long finale that some shows will do. It's going to be standard, just like
What
everything
show are
else.
you
I think,
talking about, buddy?
I don't know.
Oh, Euphoria is getting the longest
uh,
episode in HBO history for its season finale this season.
Oh, Lord. But yeah, with that, we appreciate the ride that you guys that we've all had with the boys through these 5 seasons as we lead into the finale next week. We just want to know everybody else's thoughts on how the season is going for them so far. Are they confident? Are you guys confident in them delivering something notable into the final episode? Other than that, if you'd like to support, please consider liking the video and subscribing to us. We will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you.